Hello, everyone. Welcome to this walkthrough of a RentFinder.ai estimate report. Hopefully all of you have been able to get to the website, RentFinder.ai, and then log in. Logging in is very simple. You go up here to the top right when you get to the page, you click, and if you're not signed in, you'll have a sign in button, and it'll just allow you to choose Google or Microsoft to sign in. Use any Gmail or Microsoft account to sign in with. Doesn't matter, which one it is. We'll be slowly adding more like Apple, Facebook, etc., as well as our own login. But for now, quick and easy one-click login to get to RentFinder.ai. And so let's say you are first at the page and you are looking at running a new estimate. So I'm on an estimate that I've already run. Let's go to the main page here really quickly. So if you're running an estimate, what you're going to see at the home page is going to be a list of all the properties that you've run in the past. If your first one, obviously this will be empty, but you start typing in an address of a new estimate that you'd like to run. Let's just say, for example, let's take this one that we looked at down here, this 2046 Idlewood Road. Okay, Tucker, Georgia, USA. And what it's going to do is run the estimate right now in the background. And we'll come back to that here in a few seconds. For now, we will look at the one that we've already run. Let me walk you through the main features of the report. So the most important things that you're going to see here are the dollar amount of the estimate, as well as the confidence score. So these are kind of what they sound like. This is the estimate the AI is providing, and then this is how confident it is in that dollar estimate. 92% is very high for our AI. In general, with estimates that have very, very similar properties, we really don't go above 95, 96, just because there always is some uncertainty built into the rental market. So you'll see the confidence score and estimate here. To the right side, you'll see some key metrics and key points about the property, namely what we're referencing as the address, the beds, the baths, square footage, when it was built, the lot size, sale price, and sale date. And then one of my favorite parts of the entire tool is the analysis paragraph here. So what this is going to be doing is telling you how exactly the property estimate came to be. Sometimes it will mention specific properties that it focused on. Let's say it only used 3 or 5 properties because there weren't that many similar ones. It'll let you know. It'll say, hey, I focused on these 5 properties and list them out. If it weighted certain things in a different way, let's say it thought dollar per square foot was more relevant for this area, or it thought the age of the comp was more relevant for these sets of homes, it will let you know. And it will explain to you how exactly it kind of came to that final dollar amount and walk you through what it weighted in that analysis. And the really cool part is you have the opportunity to influence and update the estimate with your own personal knowledge about the home, the neighborhood, and the area if you so desire. And I'll get into that here shortly at the end. A few other important notes here. You'll see a generated on with a date and timestamp. It'll show you exactly the date it was generated as well as the time of day. Obviously, this is important with the rental landscape always changing. It's important to know how new an estimate actually is. So scrolling down the page, a few important things that you'll note. You'll see a picture of the property as well as a general marketing description about the property. And then you'll also see some relevant MLS-related data for that specific property. You'll see, the HOA dues, when it was built, latitude and longitude, schools as well as their school ratings, as well as internal amenities about that property. Nothing super important here, but just nice to be able to have and reference in case you need it. The most important things that you'll see as well down here are going to be the property map of the comps as well as the comp list. So let's start with the map here. So the map is basically built on Google Maps. It's fully interactive. You can zoom in and take a look at anything you want to look at. You can hover over these individual pins and see the information about the address, the price, beds, baths, square footage, and how old that estimate is. And obviously the main property in question is always going to be something that is called out very clearly here. One thing that I really like about this entire process is you have the ability to drop in Street View and take a look at that property. Let's say that you didn't want to go to the Zillow listing, you just kind of wanted to explore the neighborhood. Okay, you see this is a similar property to the estimate. Well, let's drop in here. Let's take a look at this property and see the property in question. Okay, as you can see, the pin on the map will be the pin on the map regardless of if you're in Street View or if you're in the normal map. So as you can see here, you got that pin on 1758 Mustang Trail. And it'll allow you to kind of just look around and explore the neighborhood. And let's see, how does that home look from the side? What exactly is that home like compared to the other home in question? So this home looks quite a bit bigger. Let's keep that in mind. This home looks quite a bit bigger. And we can verify that by let's just go down the street. Let's go see our property in question. And just like you can see here, you can see that pin coming into focus over here. As we get closer down the street, what you can see Here is 1912 Mustang Trail, and you can see the pin drop right here showing you that it's the main property in question. And this is just kind of a neat feature to let you explore and see more about the properties that have been taken into account. And you can do that for any of the other properties on the map anywhere you'd like. It's very simple to navigate and interact with. Now below that is going to be the more detailed information about those comps, namely the full address, the correlation score, distance, price, dollar per square foot, bed, bath, and then the square foot rating, and then how old that estimate actually is. On this case, what I consider one of the most important metrics here is correlation. Correlation is a score of 0 to 100, basically. This would be 99%. 99.1% correlation to the distance, the beds, and the baths of the given property. So it allows the AI to better understand how exactly it should be weighting certain properties versus others. And so, as you mentioned, as I saw earlier, 1758 Mustang Trail, hey, that was that property that we looked at over here, right? This is that highly correlated but bigger property at 3995. Okay, so that's good to know. 4,000 square feet, so yeah, it's quite a bit bigger than the 3,000 square feet we have here at 1912. You can see it's a pretty new comp within the last 90 days or so, so that could be relevant. But anyways, as you can go through this list and look at that for all the properties that could possibly be on the list. You can even then click on the listing here, and it will take you to the Zillow listing of that specific property and when it was available for rents, etc. You can take a look at the inside, see whatever you feel like is relevant and important for that given property. Now, going back over here, one thing I want to note that's really important about our AI that is different than a lot of other rental software that's giving you an estimate is that just because you see a property in this list does not mean that it impacted or weighted the estimate. What we're doing is taking this data and giving it to the AI to come up with a final estimate. And it is intelligently excluding or weighting properties higher. Just because they're in this list, it doesn't mean that the property was considered important. Let's say there was we can sort by bedrooms here, like some of these giant 5.4s, like this one, it's 4,400 5.4, not the highest correlation score, high dollar price, and almost a mile away. This property isn't very similar, so the AI is going to probably not include that or account that very much in the analysis. And the good news is, unlike a lot of other tools, you can just ask it. So let's go ahead and go talk about one of our other features here, Rental IQ AI Chat. And so let's say you want to find out, which properties did you consider the most important for your pricing analysis against 1912 Mustang. Okay, and we can ask that while it's loading up the answer here. We can kind of keep going down the list and looking at some other features. So we also have some general zip code data, the average rents for 2, 3, and 4 beds, as well as the total number of rentals on the market for 2, 3, and 4 bedrooms. These charts are also interactive, and they allow you to, let's say you want to only look at the 4 bedrooms to see more granularity. You can mark off the 2s and 3s so that you can see the dollar rents here specifically. And same thing down here. You can adjust the interactivity and see only the data you want to see. And it's just a nice, easy way to look at two data points that give you more of what you want to see. So, okay, now let's take a look at this answer. As you can see, what it's going to be telling you, it's saying, okay, these specific properties included the properties that were considered the most important shared high correlation scores and similar key features. So 1758 Mustang Trail, it notes the high correlation score. It said it was significantly relevant, even though it's slightly larger in square footage, but still close enough for comparison. Priced at $39.95. 11226 Outpost Trail. Similar number of beds and baths and featured a high correlation. While the square footage is somewhat less, it still offered valuable comp data, listed at $3,300. Then we have 10166 Western Hills Drive. Extra bed and bath. It's considered important due to the correlation score and relatively close square footage, priced at $39.90. It looks like it gave a list of 4 here. So 1943 Remington Lane, same number of beds and baths, correlation of 0.9837. It says it's larger in terms of square footage and listed at $36.50. Then it's going to give you some more information here, just kind of letting you know what it did for its calculation. But it answered the question of which properties did you consider most important for your pricing analysis against 1912 Mustang. Let's use this for another reason that I find it really, really neat and interesting. Let's say you're up here and you see, wait a minute, I know this is a 4.4, not a 4.3. I know that for a fact. I know it's bad MLS data. So let's do this. Will you please update the estimates, assuming that the property at 1912 Mustang is actually a 4x4 Bed Bath instead of a 4.3. You can put your information, your knowledge, your spin on the final dollar amount it calculates by giving it more relevant information. Whether it's something you say you notice is wrong, well, let's say, hey, just so you know, 2 properties next door rented under the table for this dollar amount. Or this neighborhood actually had a house catch on fire right next door and it's not accounted for yet. So just please redo the estimate with that in mind. What you're going to see here is it's going to then give you some more information about what it's going to do, assuming a new analysis behind that property. So saying houses with a closer match in terms of number of bedrooms weigh more heavily in my calculation. Here are some properties with those key characteristics. It did list out 2 properties that it already had. So how exactly is it going to be making an estimate any higher if it's listing 2 properties it already considered? Well, that's kind of the beauty of the AI. It's going to look at the traits and it's going to be looking at things and it's going to be making an intelligent weighting to come up with a new rate. So as you can see here, it's now saying my new comp estimate is 35.25, a whole 120 bucks more than the initial estimate. That's assuming that the square footage would rate the same, but the 4x4 would change. Well, let's say the square footage also changed. Let's say you say it's a 4.4, 3,300 square feet. It can adjust for that and it'll give you a new price there as well. Let's say it's actually not built 2006. It's a teardown and it was built 2017. Tell it whatever you like, whatever you feel is important, even if it may not be relevant. It will give you a more refined number with your personal knowledge and information added to it, which is one of the beauties about our tool. Lastly, a couple things is just the ability to share the link for this specific report. Clicking here is going to give you a copyable link. You'll see it pop up copied in green that you can share at any point in time and come back to this report. So for example, let's say I just open up a new browser window. I'll go to the Zillow one. I'll paste in that link here. And it's going to take me to this specific report. Not going to run a new one or anything. It's going to this exact same one that was generated at 13:08 p.m., 34:05, 92.3. And you can even go back and chat with it, whether it's a day later, 6 months later, 5 years later. You can come back and chat with your analysis and ask it more questions and say, hey, this ended up running for a little bit more. Why do you think you were off, for example? Or, giving feedback, saying, hey, this estimate seemed low at the beginning, but actually ended up being extremely, extremely accurate. So whatever you want to do, you're welcome to. Here's also a print to PDF button that allows you to just export the entire report as a PDF. And then we also have 2 feedback buttons here. This feedback button is for the estimate itself. Let's say you think the estimate's too high, too low. Click that feedback button, leave some feedback. And then this one up here is a feedback button for the entire tool itself. Lastly is going to be this bulk button here. A bulk button, you can kind of go through and look at the details. You can download the sample Excel file, but it allows you to upload an Excel file with up to 100 properties and run 100 comps at once. So a lot of really great features, a lot of really interesting information available. And please enjoy the tool and let me know if there's anything I can do to help you. Thanks again.